What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here. This has been a little hot button topic floating around the old social media sphere. Myself, Dustin, Flipping Steve had Geoff Wilson on off-centered last week to talk about Card Shop HQ, his new LCS that he is opening up in Atlanta, Georgia, very, very quickly here. A little sneak peek / grand opening stuff is later this week, coinciding with the Culture Collision show. And a topic that came up was about card pricing. I had done some shorts and some reels on this. And even in the chat at the time, a lot of people were kind of like bantering back and forth on, could this work? Could this not work? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play the clip real quick. It's about 5 minutes, give or take. It's the full length of the clip. So go ahead and listen to that. And then we will come back and chat about it a little bit.
Mike's got a good question here. Are we going to be able to haggle live with your employees for inventory that you have online? Do you have that sorted out? I mean, will it be like, or best offer type thing to where you have in the system, like this is our low and this, auto accept at this price, or?
No, so that's a great question. So we've had a lot of debates about what to do with pricing cards in the card shop when it comes to negotiating. We've decided to go counter market. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to price all of the cards close to market value, many at market value, and many, very close to market value. Like we're trying to price everything within, 5% or at most like 10% of recent comps. And we will not adjust the price unless the market has significantly changed on a card since we priced it. So we're not going to, unlike most card shops, if you come into our shop and say, hey, I want that card for $80, but would you take 70 or 75? Our answer is going to be no. Our answer is going to be if the last sale on that card was $78, no, we're sticking to our 80. And the reason why is because I personally think it's more friendly to the collector to do it that way. I don't like card shops and dealers that significantly overprice their cards. And then with the built-in idea of the haggle down, I know that's common in our industry. I get it. Most card dealers operate that way. I understand it. Who I don't think it's friendly to is I don't think it's friendly to kids. And I don't think it's friendly to moms who bring their kids into the shop and don't know anything about this and end up not even knowing they can negotiate or having no idea what they should be reasonably negotiating to because they don't even know what a comp is. And then they end up paying, 250% of the price of the card. Like, I don't like that. A lot of that goes on. There's shops in Atlanta that price their cards that way that are, the sticker price on the cards, like ridiculous. It's like that card sold for $30 and you've got it literally stickered at 90. And that it happens all the time. I see it all the time, and I don't like it because I just don't think that's. I don't like that, and I also think that that's difficult at scale. I also think that I don't want to put my employees in the position where they're having to negotiate with every customer on every card. So we're not going to do it unless we've mispriced a card, and that will happen. There will be situations where we put a card in the showcase and we sticker it at, $240 because based on some sale a month ago, we think it's worth $240. And then a week after it's in the showcase, it sells on eBay and in an auction, it goes for $140. Okay. Well, now we're off on the card. So if somebody comes up to us and says, hey, you've got that at $240, it just sold at $140, then we will say, okay, we will re-sticker it. But in that case, it's not just, hey, I'll give you $100 off. It's, I'm actually going to go get a price gun. I'm going to re-sticker the card. And now you can have the card at that price, or it will remain there for anybody else who wants the card at that price.
That has to be so challenging as fast as our card prices move up and down to be on, especially with as much inventory as you're talking about having, about staying even remotely up to date on pricing. Is that just down to the software that you guys are hoping to use and kind of cross-referencing that against, I would imagine, market movers to know yeah. Hey, we're, if we're within 15%, cool, but all of a sudden if something's a certain percentage difference, we need to go take a double check on this? How does that even work?
that's where we eventually want to get to, and we're going to try to build integrations with market movers and our database and everything like that to alert us proactively if we think we're off on stuff. But the other key to what we're trying to do is we're trying not to keep any inventory in the store for more than about 30 days. I want the store so that if Dustin comes down and visits us, you know, at the beginning of February, and then he comes back down and visits us in the middle of March, I don't want there to be a single card in the store in any showcase that was there when he was there at the beginning of February. That's how quickly we want to turn inventory. Will we be able to do it? We'll see, but that's our goal. And so what our system's going to be is we're going to track the number of days that each card has been sitting in a showcase. And once a card has hit 30 days in a showcase, we're going to pull it out of the showcase and we're going to go auction it off. Whether that's a live auction on Whatnot or whether that's eBay, whatever that looks like, we're going to auction it off after 30 days. And so that's our goal. And so then that helps protect against the prices being very far off as well, right? Because if you're hopefully turning the inventory that quick, then hopefully your prices don't end up in a situation where they're like 300% off from reality.
So, what do we think? Can this work? Is this going to blow people's minds too much because we have it ingrained in our heads that we have to negotiate down on the price of cards, that the price stickered in a showcase is just never correct? And we have to get just the human nature of us. We have to get a couple bucks off on something to make it feel like we got the W in the negotiation. Are we able to move out of that? Or are we so stuck in our ways that we cannot? Now, you know, like I said, I saw a lot of comments on this about this will never work. People are going to hate this. And what it ultimately comes down to, for me anyways, is if the card is accurately priced, then it's going to be fine. If, you know, he uses the example in there, like a $78 card, they have it priced at $80. If someone really wants the card, $80 is a perfectly fair price on that. If that card was on eBay and I auctioned it or bid on an auction or hit a bin for $80 or whatever the case might be, even $75, in that case, I'm paying potentially sales tax, depending, and I don't know how Geoff's shop will work. I don't know the, you know, whatever the situation is in Georgia. If you're paying cash, maybe there's a way around that. I don't know. Shipping, and I have to wait to have the card in hand. There is something to being able to walk in and physically hold the card in your hand and being able to physically walk out with that. That should get a slight premium, even if it's just a couple bucks. But there is an advantage to just walking out with a card that you actually want to own. Now, where people get mad about this, I think, is that this isn't going to be Flipper's Paradise where you could go in and try to negotiate a way better deal so you could take the card and then go resell it. It sounds like their goal is to sell to end users, people that actually want the card to own it. I know, wild concept. People, I know. Sit down, everybody. People do actually buy cards because they want to own them, not just because they want to make 10 or 20% on it. Wild idea. I hope you were all sitting down for that one. But there is a world, there are some cards in this world that people genuinely want to, I'm going to use a word here, some of you may or may not have heard of it before, collect. Radical stuff. My guess is that is Card Shop HQ and Geoff's end user goal is to target people that want to actually own the cards. And he kind of talked about that, and I don't think it was in that section of the video. You could see the full length thing on the channel if you missed it. But he kind of talks about like not just stocking the shop with like base prisms and base optics and stuff like that. Like it's more unique patch cards and autographs and, you know, kind of cards like that are going to appeal more to someone that collects a specific team, product, player, whatever, versus your run-of-the-mill silver PSA 10 prism. So, you know, if they stick to that, if they could buy for, he said, I think he said they usually pay between around 75% for stuff for Cards HQ, and they could sell it at near 100%. There's a 20 to 25% margin in there. And he even says, if a card radically switches in price, they're just reprice the card versus knocking $100 off of it. Like if it goes $100 cheaper, it's not like just that person, could potentially get that deal. They're going to re-sticker that card, and that is the new price permanently, not just for that one individual that happened to catch it. So I do like the idea of the, common person walking in that might not understand. For us, this is like second nature. We know, like, I got to pull up 130 point. I got to look at alt. I got to look at eBay sold. I got to look at market movers. I got to look at the card ladder score. I got to watch 16 YouTube videos and check 4 Instagram accounts before I make a purchase of a card, and figure out, get an abacus out and do all this calculations to see if I'm getting a good enough deal that I could potentially make money on it 15 minutes later. Not everyone is doing that. Once again, some people are just going to walk in and genuinely just want to buy the card to own it. I think you'll also have an advantage. We kind of touched on this in the full length interview with new inventory. And because how I imagine this working, and maybe I'm completely off base. Like I said, we kind of touched on this in the chat. So they're going to have like breakers set up there, breaker pavilion set up there, all this stuff. And if they give people in breaks the ability to immediately sell them their cards, that to me is a great way for Cards HQ to get this influx of fresh inventory, because people are going to be breaking. The degens will be breaking over here, chasing whatever the latest thing is on the slot machine. They're going to hit things that they don't necessarily want. Cards HQ could buy them from them, give them break credit, give them cash, give them store credit, whatever. Take that and then slide it on over into the showcase, and then have new inventory for the people walking in the door. So they kind of have this constant feeder system of at least brand new inventory. Now, maybe they don't want to dive too deep into the fresh inventory, because that, depending on how new the product is, there might not be a great way to price it yet. And that stuff always seems to come down in price quite a bit in the first 30 days. So how quickly can you move it and things like that? Those are definitely concerns to keep in mind. But to have that potential ability to bring in some new inventory from stuff getting opened in breaks is interesting. Where if you live, Geoff talked about, I think in the clip that I played, if you come in the shop every 30 days, he wants new inventory in there for people to see. And that could be one way to do it. If you live local and you wanted to stop in every once in a while, to have that ability of that fresh inventory, if you were looking for just hit stuff, to potentially move over there. Plus, from their perspective, they could be buying this stuff raw from the breaks and then submitting it for grading. So then they get the profit boost off that. Hey, cool, you just hit that Stroud Silver Prism. We'll buy that off you for $300, whatever market rate is on the card, 75% of whatever that is. They could take it, then they can evaluate it and say, hey, I think this has a shot to 10. Let's send it into PSA, SGC, wherever. Get it back, and then get that increased margin on the card if they decide to go that route. Now, that's not something they talked about. That's my own hypotheticalness on the back end of this, on how I could potentially see that working. But the key part of this video and the key question is will this pricing model work? I think it all comes down to how they're priced. If he's, like they said, a card sells for $78 and they're pricing it at 80, I think that is more than fine. More than fine. And I kind of like the idea of your price is your price, as long as the price is accurate. I have bought plenty of cards at close to or at exactly what they last sold for on eBay. I didn't get the big 20-30% discount. Why? Because I wanted the card. I wanted the card. When I bought the Rosario Dawson Star Wars Stellar, comps on that were like $1,250. I think I paid $1,250 for that card because I wanted it. So, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. As always, I am sure this will be a lightning rod video anytime you bring up Sports Card Investor. There is a part of that, but I genuinely think the shop will do very, very well. I really do. Just from the marketing side of it that him and his team have, that ability alone, industry contacts, the whole 9 yards, all that stuff compiled together, I think this shop will be a relative success. We'll see what happens. I'll be curious to check it out. I'm hoping to get down to Atlanta later this year in the fall, maybe to check out Dragon Con and then swing in and check out the shop. But will this work, or will it be crazy town? Curious for your thoughts and comments. Catch you on the next one. Peace.